Good morning, gentlemen. It's the Date Master checking in. I've got a very serious conversation and topic I want to speak on today. I talk about a lot of things. Like I said, I got one particular video, and it talks about how toxic mothers ruin their black sons. Because what we like to do, we have to start getting very specific and particular. Black men in our community, what we like to do is blanket statement things, and we want to cater to a different market because some people are here for business. I understand that. Other people are here for enlightenment and to help change the dynamic. The black community in particular specifically has a very unique set of living conditions, standards, traumas, and issues. So I would no longer try to blanket statement to cater to other races, other communities, which I know other communities experience some similar experiences. But nothing will ever compare to the experience of the black man and woman and child in this country. So what we're looking at is the creation of the black beta male. Shout out Minister Jap, and I talked about this in my last video. He talked about the old comfortable Negro and how older generations of black men have failed the current, the upcoming, and generation that came after him, all due to complacency. What we have reached is a point of decadence, luxury, and convenience. Hard work, dedication, focus, discipline are things that are no longer practiced. Only a very small percent practice them, but they practice them to a end that does not benefit the next generation. They practice these things to get the Hellcats, the demons, the Lambos, materialistic things, because deep down they are dealing with self-identity crisis, self-esteem issues. They're looking to get the bag so they can buy all this luxury bullshit. So they can get all of this nice. I understand everybody want to live nice, but that should not be your primary focus. As black men, we have an unspoken duty to reach back down and pull these young kings up. Because if you're not paying attention, I know we live in this social media bubble. You got to look around you. You got to look at what's going on within the world. You got to look at your environment. Black boys are being destroyed before your very eyes, and the only thing you can focus on is getting the J's. I got to make sure I get them J's this week. I got to make sure I get the J's this week. I got to make sure I sound the smartest and the most intelligent on social media when certain topics cross the timeline. You got beta males spending all their motherfucking time, and excuse my French, but this touched me. I live in a city where it's just nothing but senseless killings. And all I see on social media is beta males arguing and talking about bullshit, making it seem as if they're expert on everything they talk about, when I know they ain't studied shit. They did a brief Google search for a day or two. These men haven't listened to 4-5 hour lectures, studied and cross-examined information from Charles Darwin, Charles Briefault, Sigmund Freud. These people studied human nature and the mind, animal nature with mammals. I know you haven't studied this. When I look at your conversation, I look at your perspective, I know you haven't did any in-depth studying, but you see these people on social media all day talking on shit that they never have studied thoroughly. They just felt they have a good understanding because they went to a certain school and they can look at something for 5 minutes and they know everything about it. And this is the reason why the black community is suffering. I always say we have a lot of channels that always talk about female nature and female behavior. All that shit gets curved when a man steps into his place. You don't see people in the Middle East In Asia, you have very small percentage. When you look at this YouTube space, you're going to find a small percentage of people from Mexico, India, Asia, having the type of conversations we have as black men. And of course, it's because the experiences are going to be different. But why is that? We have been dominated into submission, and we refuse to stand up and get out of it. We rather sit there and have a defeatist mindset. We rather argue on Facebook about Quavo and Sweetie, Derrick Jackson and his marriage. We rather argue all day about this type of shit. But I'm a part of a great organization, and it'll remain nameless, to where we're touching these black boys. We're taking them places. We're having interactions with them that I don't see happening on a major scale by these same scholars that'll talk to your ass to death and beg you to get on Facebook Live on Facebook. Beg you to do a video about bullshit. I've removed myself from that space. That shit don't get shit done. Actions, plans, and results get shit done. The creation of the beta male is it's a Frankenstein experiment. The single mother home created the beta male. Society created the beta male. You made yourself beta by submitting to perception that you have to kowtow and kiss ass in order to get female validation and acceptance. You can't critique and appraise women in certain space. You'll get canceled. You can't show them in a certain light. You can't live your life without a fear of being canceled. Deshaun Watson, Paul Pierce. The black man is under attack, and so is the black boy, the black son, because that is him. He will eventually grow into a black man if he lives long enough to see it. The creation of the black beta male is a very, very peculiar creation. These men have now become so aggressive to where they go against men who talk about masculinity. They're caping for women when they talking about toxic masculinity, but when shit hit the fan, when fallout breaks out, when war breaks out, when floods happen, who do you call? Men. To save the fucking day. That's who you call, right? So this is something we've gotten too accustomed to, all this arguing and bickering for social media validation. And I spoke on Clubhouse. These spaces where you men want to sound overly articulate and educated, that shit is asinine. You sound very smart, but I know I can look at what you're talking about. You don't really know what the fuck you're talking about. Because none of your rhetoric and information is based and rooted in logic, statistics, and data. None of it. It's all emotional rhetoric and feminine energy, which is why I no longer engage in these conversations and exchanges. I know a lot of you black men are just now meeting your peak. You're just now getting the experience with women that myself and others got years and years and years ago, and have been having that experience the majority of my life. So I understand that you're just now getting an interaction that you feel is favorable. So you so obsessed and so engulfed in it, you can't get away from it. You constantly find yourself in spaces where women are doing this and this, and it's about women and this and this. I will sever my ties with you, family or not, friend or not, unless we start getting on code and the actions and the conversations are about results and improving ourselves and improving the environment for those to follow. I will no longer interact with you. And that's my word. I will no longer interact with you. Our spirit to be very cordial, but we won't have any in-depth interactions because I see your actions are that of beta. which lead to destruction and chaos if you can't see that for yourself when you look around and turn on your TV and look at your social media feed. Look at the chaos and ask yourself, what do you do most of your day? If you look at most of your day, you playing video games and on Facebook and doing all this and it's just unproductive, you're a cause of the problem. You're part of the problem. Because if you're not a part of the problem, if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. We have too many gray areas where people want to carve themselves out and isolate themselves from the community, which is fine. You want to isolate yourself from, whatever is going on, the social engineering. You want to make yourself immune and turn a blind eye to real issues that will hit your doorstep one day. That's fine. But you will not get my respect. Unless you out here in the trenches doing the work, I don't got shit for you. Period. The arguing back and forth and all that bullshit, that shit dead. This is coming from men in their late 30s. Early, mid, late 30s. This is the age group that constantly does this with no kind of shame. You have to choose to pull yourself up by your fucking bootstraps and elevate as a man. Put in the work. Go without. Sacrifice. You won't die if you don't get no pussy, I promise you. It's creation of the black male. But with creation also comes destruction. It's the Date Master.